We have a couple of minutes. I know there's a few people joining, so Riddell, I think the best thing on that room would be to have you mute and then PTZ over to you and sort of show an awkward camera angle, and then we'll get started shortly. I have all my gadgets turned off. Nothing will buzz. We should start with Alexa telling us a joke. Good. Well, so I think I know we have a couple of people joining momentarily. So Emily, we're about ready to get started. I think I'll start the live stream just in case anyone's tuned in and ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Good.
Are we good to go on that? I see we're recording as well.
Wonderful. So thanks for tuning in. Chris Alvarez will kick us off in just a moment. Randy Marcotte speaking, and we're just going to wait for a few other people who are joining, who have registered to pop in, and then we'll get started. So Emily, I think this is our 60-second warning.
All right, sounds good.
Excellent. Emily, we are seeing some folks starting to watch the live stream, so I think I'll hand it off to Chris. If you're ready to go, I think I'll hand it off to Chris for introductions.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Okay, welcome everyone to today's webinar. The title of our webinar is Do Not Erase. Actually, go ahead and erase and collaborate. Capture brilliant ideas with Kaptivo. If you are having any issues with audio or video, please feel free to contact the numbers on the screen on the bottom of the slide. I would like to just go over a quick agenda that we have going on for today. I'll introduce you to your moderator in just a second. We'll be going over Kaptivo and its backstory and roadmap. And some of the AV integration and unique ways we can solve problems with Kaptivo. And of course, we have Lifesize on the call as well. They'll be going over some of their new features, such as the single touch content share. And Randy from Perfect Video Conferencing will discuss some of the challenges of today's cloudy cloud. And then we'll go over some Q&A, some feedback that you guys might have, and we'll announce the winners of the prizes that we have. We also have a survey at the end. So on that note, I'll hand it over to our moderator, Randy Marcotte from Perfect Video Conferencing.
Excellent. Thanks, Chris. Emily, nice to see you. And for those of you tuning in remotely or actually watch the live stream later, do feel free to ask us any questions. Support at perfectvc.com is a great way of opening a ticket, and sales at perfectvc.com is an easy way of finding us. So you'll see a whole host of things are going to happen on today's recorded webinar. We have some folks joining in over video, so you're welcome to pop in with any questions. And the key takeaway is what we know, and I'm going to do it right now, is in these first 5 minutes, Emily, Chris, and I are going to actually show you what the rest of the 30 minutes is going to cover, because we know it has to be easy or this technology is not going to happen. That includes the video call, the guest invite, the audio dial-in, content sharing. And then in order to facilitate that, we'd love to have you and you'll only be able to do this if you're in the live stream. If you're watching this on recording, this won't function. But go ahead and head to kaptivo.live, and I'm going to leave presentation mode and show you what that looks like. And then you're going to enter that code, that XTZ Victor Mary Victor. And so the function here, and again I mentioned that I'll exit live screen. When you go to kaptivo.live and then you enter that code, and I'm going to do it first, XTZVMV, I'm going to request to review a board. There's a guy in the room who's going to press the button in a moment. Let me just change the camera angle. Input number 3. There we go. So he's pressed the button. What we now end up by seeing is what's already on screen. I've also changed the camera angle so then you can see. So alternatively, I've got Kaptivo showing us this live. I've got my Lifesize content sharing going in, and so you can see that. And then I've got a camera pointed directly at the whiteboard. And what we wanted to point out is absolutely Lifesize and Perfect Video Conferencing haven't changed the way or the nature of how you collaborate. Kaptivo helps enhance it. And then now I've got someone who wants to come in. So I'm going to let this person in. I am the moderator. I have full control over who does or doesn't get to see it. Riddell, this would be one to be useful on your side too, to have you join. Emily, same thing. Kaptivo.live, XTZ, Victor, Mary, Victor. This way here, what you're seeing in real time, content sharing has to be end user. And I'm the moderator. I like Emily. I'm going to let her in. Content sharing has to be end user proof. So you'll see on the Lifesize phone, one button to share. I'm happy to be using an HDMI cable. There are wireless options, and Lifesize is going to do a wireless content sharing very soon. So content sharing for these TVs that you've plugged in needs to be easy, needs to be simple, because these are projectors when they're not video systems. The next thing that we know has to happen is that the audio has to be flawless. So, judge us by what you see in this call or how you hear this call and your experience of audio, either as a real-time person or on the recording, because we want audio to work. And then obviously you need a multi-party call. This particular bridge we're dialed into is me as the host. We're streaming to potentially thousands of people. And you can have me plus 49 guests, any device, anywhere, join. So we know your options for cloud conferencing is cloudy. Oh, I've got another person who wants to come in. I'll let them in. We know that your options of joining these conference rooms and these cloud solutions is cloudy. Clear. We want to make the choices easier and add in services like Kaptivo to enhance the experience, and that ultimately is the agenda for today. So I will toggle back and forth between the moderator functions here on this, and then but I do want to go over to the Google picture of this particular room. So in real time, it's useful for everyone to see. If I get to the right tab, sorry about that. Today's experience of these whiteboarding sessions is that you take a picture of it and then you forget who took the picture, whose drive it sits on, who needs to email it, and where do they get it. But the camera's not broken. So we understand that these dry erase boards, these whiteboards are there, they're everywhere. But when the content changes, you have to take another picture. So again, we've got a guy in the room as we're talking. He's going to start writing new things on the wall. This picture I've taken is static. And the idea of this is, well, don't erase. Well, maybe you can erase. It actually makes it easier to get a sense of what's going on by using this Kaptivo product. So I'm going to go a little bit more into the what, when, where, and how. But again, if you're dialing in remotely, I'll toggle back and forth to make sure no one's requesting to come in, and then we'll take it from there. So great. That's the first part of the show and tell. Again, it has to be useful or it's not worth it. The camera angle might be a challenge. And then the other thing we wanted to do is toggle the sharing immediately to Emily. So if you don't demo this and if you don't do it, people don't believe it. We've done 90% of what we want to accomplish in this webinar already. One of the other things is just changing your camera angle. So for me, I have the option of going to camera 1 so you can see me. I don't know who wants to do that. I have an option to go into camera 2 where you see my content. And then in comparison, you get to see Chris creating content on the wall. So if I go over to the Kaptivo tool again, there we go, Kaptivo, see if anyone else has joined in. Chris is now added to that content, and then he's chosen to say do erase, not erase. So that real content in real time, much cleaner image, and I get to go back in and see the progression of our thoughts and ideas. We think pretty useful. You get to see the guy writing, and as he writes, it broadcasts out to everyone. We're going to get under the hood a little bit of how this works, how this functions. The first, we wanted to show the other piece of this is that I'm sending content and I need to stop. Emily is in as a participant, so Emily can now share content with one easy button to push. Hi, Angel, how are you? Okay, great. So now Emily has started to share content, and then she too, as a participant, gets to see the progression of the ideas being created in this event. So here comes her content. She's got the slides up. She'll go over to that Kaptivo tab, and then in real time, she's going to start seeing the changes that are part of this. Locally, she also has the ability to download the content and look back at the timeline. So again, in a complicated meeting with multiple whiteboards, you have the ability, candidly, to toggle between who is or isn't presenting. Riddell is doing the exact same thing in the San Francisco location. So the demo of this in real time is not only can you do this content sharing, but you can also have other people show the content. So again, here's my content. I can hit one button to show content, and voila, you've got both the slides and my camera showing what's going on. I'm just going to make sure no one else is asked to come in as a participant. All right, invite. Notice too, then I have the option in this to either invite additional people or do a session link URL. So again, we promised at the beginning we would share everything about this webinar in the first 5 to 10 minutes. We've now done that. What I'd like to do, unless there's any questions from the field, is pivot back to the planned progression of the webinar. So let me change my angle, share content, and go. So Emily, I don't know if you had any clarifications on the Lifesize side of this.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. I think it's hopefully pretty clear to everybody that we're all joining from the Lifesize application, whether that be from the Lifesize camera system or from the application on the computer. And then sharing content is easy and, made even better with being able to share something like Kaptivo through Lifesize. So anything you need to share, it's easy.
So then for the rest of the webinar, we wanted to have a group conversation. Angel from Kaptivo is representing just because we're their reseller of record and one of their subject matter experts. So if I miss anything, Angel will correct me. But she's out in the field and knows that she's not in the best environment to be a host, so she's going to listen in and say hi as needed. So I wanted to make sure you knew who that person was as she's now dialed in. But the outcomes for today is, again, to give anyone in real time who's watching this or anyone who looks at the recording an understanding of the desktop video sharing challenges, to talk a little bit about collaboration versus taking pictures and the challenges of choosing a collaboration tool, be it the cloud software or the whiteboard enablement tool. And just be completely candid, when you plug in your whiteboard, it's a lot less expensive than anything else on the market. And as we've already demonstrated here, we candidly believe a lot more feature-rich. Generally, you don't have to train an end user on a dry erase board. Just saying. Right? Most people know how to pick up a pen and write, and they can choose their colors and switch pretty easily. That's not a high event for IT or facilities. Emily's going to walk us through a little bit of the intersection of product and design from a Lifesize perspective and kind of simplicity. And then at the end of this, we hope we've blown your mind or at least opened you to some new ideas. It's generally useful to talk about why we are choosing partners as a reseller. So Perfect Video Conferencing is the solution provider. Lifesize is the technology through which we're streaming and talking. And I wanted to just point out as a teaser of why we've got Emily, so there's a clear reason why we like working with Lifesize. We have an Emily, and then who wouldn't work with Lifesize if you have an Emily? But we also know that there's true HD on the audio, and in our installs, the plug and play and connect to cloud and go is super easy. There's a management portal that I'm going to log into and a web app that really makes understanding Lifesize simple. So I'll show those real briefly. The web app, it's just as simple as going to the Lifesize and doing sign in. So it's WebRTC. Because I have an account, it's going to automatically log me in. I think I've been here before. Yeah, so it already saw me. It already logged me in. In the event you went to this, and a couple of people had, you would have gotten the traditional guest experience, which microphone, which camera, which speaker. By design, we want to have this test before you join, because you don't want that poor experience to be foisted on everyone else. As an owner of a Lifesize account, I've got this portal that I can log into, and then in an instant, see the stats of my organization, top talkers, callers, manage the devices, make sure that I have control of the app infrastructure that I'm providing to my ecosystem. So then with a couple of clicks, I get to know, is my investment paying off? Are the users adopting it? And if they are having challenges, what's the nature of those challenges, so that I can go in and plan it. Emily will talk a little bit more about the product and the design. I wanted you guys to see this, at least for why we choose Lifesize as strongly as we do. Throughout this demo, I'm going to do a little bit of toggling between cameras and presenters. We encourage you to ask any questions if you feel like you need to. Clearly, the call to action on this is to buy a Kaptivo, to win a Kaptivo, to work with Emily, to work with PVC. So do a demo. If we've missed something, call us if you wanted to know more, if you wanted us to clarify. It's important, I think, just to tell you a little bit about who we are, because some of you tuning into the live stream are new to PVC. And so I'll do that very briefly, and then I'll pivot over to the Kaptivo content and then over to Lifesize. So, Emily, I think this is about a 5-minute warning for maybe 10. The way I talk will probably maybe go a little bit longer, but a couple of minute warning to cue you up.
Perfect.
Thank you. Perfect Video Conferencing has been in business for over 8 years now. We started with the idea of becoming a managed service partner, mostly for ShoreTel and Lifesize, and over the years we've added a decent amount of AV and audiovisual integration. As the market has evolved, we've found that our position as a reseller was interesting, but our dedication to being a partner became more compelling to our customers. And as a trusted advisor, they typically said, well, what else are you seeing in the market? And so there are many rooms where the Lifesize phone functions perfectly fine. You'll see that it's programmable, so I'm going to kind of go over to the table and show that the phone that's in this meeting, if I get over to that one, to table, zoom out, 9, wrong preset. Of course, the moderator needs to know its presets. So the image you have there of the Lifesize phone, and I'll pull it up a little closer so you can see it. The image you have there of the Lifesize phone, what's great about that particular device is fully programmable to the experience that you want to put in your conference room. So if you have a speed dial or a favorite that is a bridge that you typically use, why not have that phone be customized per room and per user experience? So, one of the advantages, and then the acoustics, the audio on it is great, but sometimes it doesn't fit a room. So line in, line out, AV behavior completely supports the ability to enhance the video experience across multiple different rooms. So your ability to use the Lifesize ecosystem to plug into your overhead microphones or speakers, completely supported. Another reason why we love it. Our work is guaranteed, in that if we say on paper and in a contract and on one of these calls that we'll do it and it doesn't function, I'm going to fix it. My team's going to fix it. And then if we don't deliver, and you'll see this on our website, and if you don't see us delivering against our core values of innovation and value, we have a money-back guarantee. Our name says Perfect Video Conferencing, and I always get challenged on that. People will say, perfect? I mean, really, it's technology. Technology breaks. So we want you to hold us to that standard, not only in how we deliver up front, but through the life cycle of your account, and by how we correct problems, because it is technology. There's a pretty good chance that something's going to break. there's a chance that your end users may not have come to training and then expect it to be flawless. And so the intersection between your environment and ours, we like to take personally as our problem or our opportunity. And it, for us, it really is some of our references, if you ask for them, will be people who had a not so great experience, but we're going to get measured by how we recovered, not just how we planned to be perfect up front. Because it's a high bar to stand next to, but it's a goal we look to achieve, and we need your feedback in order to make sure we get there. You have other vendors that you work with, other partners that you collaborate with. Make sure we're living up to the standards that you want to set and exceeding those. All right, part 2, I think that's enough on PVC. I'll poll the group. Riddell and Chris are here. If I've missed anything about our value prop, Emily, you've been working with us since the beginning. If there's anything else I've missed about perfect video conferencing, I'll pause for a second to see if we should add it.
No, I'll just say you guys are, you're a technical partner of the year for Lifesize, a gold partner. We love working with you, and I'm here in Austin, Texas at the headquarters, so Perfect VC picks up locally for my customers and does an awesome job. So love working with you guys.
Thanks. Actually, pointing out that you're in Austin is a really good use of technology. I actually had in my speaker notes to mention that, is that this technology needs to enable this type of collaboration regardless of where you are. So there she is in Austin looking at the progression of the whiteboard, right, seeing whatever content was there. I don't see if they want to make sure there wasn't anyone else who was asking to come in, is that it really doesn't matter where you are. You can get your content from anywhere. So I'm going to go to the live part of this. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Perfect. Yeah, no other requests to moderate. For the heck of it, just because I'm cautious about my content, I'm going to go ahead and download a copy. I can do a snapshot or the entire slide deck. Now, obviously, as the meeting progresses, there's going to be additional awesome content that Emily creates. So I'm probably going to want to, at the end of the meeting, go ahead and get another copy. The great thing about where Kaptivo is going is imagine hundreds of these boards, right? Or imagine here comes some more content. Good, the timestamp is hit. Imagine centralized management on your premise or in the cloud of this content that's being created, so that you're then not in that same space where you're relegating the who has the content, which board was it put on, where does it go, like where does the management come from, and the ability to do these things, do these connections over a power over Ethernet connection. So as you look at the Kaptivo website, I would encourage you to kind of look at the future of this. A relatively new product in market. They've got a really interesting sort of next few phases of their development, and it's why we're sort of excited to put these types of things together. We will be at Infocom with a Kaptivo board active there in the Phoenix audio booth, and then Lifesize is going to be at Infocom. So you want to meet us all in person, you want to see what's going on. Infocom is the trade show that kind of leads this industry. And we'll all be here if this webinar wasn't sufficient for you. PVC doesn't sell smartboards traditionally. We've got one that works with the Zoom Room infrastructure called Display 10. We love it because it's got a PC built into it, and so on that touch board, you can then load Lifesize or Blue Jeans or Skype, whatever bring your own conferencing app you may need. And that's important because some conference rooms typically aren't hardened down by one manufacturer. They need to have some flexibility to it. So we've adjusted a little bit for that. The great thing about the Lifesize app, though, is that when you do standardize on equipment that you know works, that can be consistent, you can actually add other bridges to the Lifesize cloud solution so that you can then use Lifesize as a stable in-room solution to then dial those other vendors' platforms, because sometimes you standardize on one platform, but your biggest customer is meeting on another. The advantage in our mind of the Lifesize infrastructure is it works well and plays well with others. They've gone completely against that closed loop, work with only me model, and are planning and continue to plan to run their product based on industry standards, which means interoperability at the get-go. All right. So from our perspective, knowing that we had a gap in our portfolio and knowing that there were millions of dry erase boards out there, why not find a way to plug in your whiteboard? Why not use what the end users love and bring it into a meeting in a way that's meaningful. And much like us in the beginning, Kaptivo has done this same observation that not all conference rooms are built for whiteboard sessions. So, Rodella, we've got you queued up for that particular part. You're dry erasing for us, and you've got the camera zoomed in as close as possible. Is that correct? You'll have to unmute to answer my question. Sorry, I didn't give you the cue to unmute.
That's okay. Actually, yeah, I queued it up so that during the meeting here I could zoom in and show you guys. If I wanted to zoom in on the actual whiteboard, what the experience would be if you weren't using Kaptivo.
So, typical setup, Kaptivo arm, a board, and this would just be another one of those sessions where in a subpar experience, you've got half of Rodell's face, part of a whiteboard, and I can kind of see the content. And this is 99, there's his face, there's his own face. That's 99% of how people join conference rooms. But in a Kaptivo world, in a Lifesize world, Rodell's got a laptop locally that's connected to the video system. He can share content instantly. And then just give me the Kaptivo code, which is, I can't quite see, is
ELGBCP.
And he is at a customer site with not awesome acoustics. So that is not a Lifesize phone we're hearing that from. So, and was that Charlie Larry Goat? Victor Charlie Pickle, and that's my best attempt at military.
The Victor is B like boy. Everything else is correct.
Excellent. I wish I would say that was a plant to be specific about the challenges, but this is exactly what happens in these cases. So rather than Rodell needing to zoom the camera to part of his face and the whiteboard and a partial part, he now has to press the blue button, which is blinking, to let me in on the Kaptivo board. So he's, as a moderator, he lets me in. I can now see his content, and I can actually see that's a B and not a V. Much better experience of the technology, much better experience of the room. I don't have to squint my eyes to see what's on that board. And then I can actually take a copy of this without having to ask him. So Emily from Austin can get this content in real time because she's joined as a participant. Now, he's got a marker there that probably isn't the darkest. And notice that Kaptivo is doing two things. It's capturing that and enhancing the writing so it's crystal clear, so its software corrects. And I don't see his arm, and I don't see the top of his head. So there's an advantage of what the software is doing in order to process what's happening in the room, and now it's captured the additional color. So thanks, Rodell, for that part of the demo. I've got both whiteboards up so I can toggle between California content and San Francisco content. Emily has one there in Austin. We could go between all three sessions and content sharing. We haven't yet figured out how to magically make the dry erase marker float from California to Austin and write on her board, but Angel is working on that. So we'll get there soon. That's on the roadmap.
Yeah, right.
Right. We'll see. Some of what you'll see at the Kaptivo website that I want to mention as we get towards the bottom of the half hour, it's almost Emily's turn, so there's your 2-minute warning, Em. We've just demonstrated this image processing technology. So the angle that we see from the corner at Rodell's desk, the no arm in the picture, all of that's sort of in the magic of what essentially is an under $700 solution. So we're not going to talk a lot about pricing on this call, but Kaptivo at its launch was a $499 product. Now they have an enterprise storage approach, and the MSRP, thankfully, as a reseller, has gone up a little bit, but it's still well under the $1,400 that the nearest solution costs. So, we've talked about these benefits. I'm not the guy who likes to read slides. For the recording purposes, though, we did think it was important for everyone to see kind of the key one for us is it's really nothing to learn. A pairing code and a marker. Most people have paired with an Apple TV or kind of Amazon type accounts, so they understand the web connection to a physical device and a pairing code that allows for the security. The other piece for me that I think is important is that blinking blue light or button in the room. So Riddell is queued up for this next particular piece. This is his whiteboard session. He doesn't want his content to be shared anymore. He can either end it as a moderator or he can push the button on the wall. Why don't you do one of the two, your choice. So he pushes the button on the wall, and lo and behold, I now have an end to my session, a cute survey that I always tell them they're awesome, right? And then, wow, right? So I'm going to submit. I don't have to see that again. And as a far-end participant, I can grab that slide deck so Riddell doesn't have to email it to me. Probably good for him as a moderator for him to keep a copy of it, but again, we're trying to make this mostly Riddell-proof or Village Idiot-proof, as it were. Riddell, did you catch that? Great, and that's the whole safe and secure part of that. Right. There are some physical components to it. We've shown it in the room. You can see it on camera. There's a storage component coming, so there's your, thank you, Riddell, there's the overhead arm. There's a button on the wall to activate it. There's a network connection, be it Wi-Fi or Ethernet, depending on your choice. And then as Kaptivo is developing, they're planning on premise-based server options for you to store your content, or cloud-based enterprise subscription models to store that content. Many customers of ours already have an LMS or a learning management tool, so therefore they don't need us. They don't need us to store it. They don't need us to solve that problem. But in this particular case, we can go ahead and do that. So the solution for us has to be elegant, or it's not worth it. And then we've talked about these key talking points. The most exciting for us, Avi, is the PoE option. So Angel, we've tested this. We love it. I know it's your demo kit, and I know I have to give it back to you. I will do so on Monday reluctantly, but thank you for letting us test the PoE unit. It'll solve a lot of the cabling challenges we have as integrators.
Awesome. Thanks.
So Emily, I talked about the key takeaways for us as a Lifesize partner. Again, obviously the plug, the cloud, the play, it's easy, and the audio and the HD component to this. We heard an audio example between Riddell's room and yours and mine, but I think it's important to point out two other things: a consistent experience and an easy SIP integration. So our customers typically are looking for a video conferencing solution that works with their phone system or plays well with others, and that their end user can go in at the desktop or at the mobile device or in the conference room and have an experience that's consistent. So as we pivot to you, I don't know if you wanted to share your slides or if I should drive for you. What's your preference? Uh-oh, did we lose Emily? Oh, she was muted.
She's muted, yeah.
Oops, I'm muted. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, no, you can drive, Randy. I'll let you kind of go through the slides as I kind of talk about the two, main parts of Lifesize, our camera systems and our cloud service. And I think we've done a really good job so far on this call to show it in action and have people join and watch the live stream and really experience Lifesize. But just to, give you kind of a high level understanding, yeah, I'll jump right in and talk first about our camera systems. So that's what I'm connecting to this call from today, as is Randy. We're both on the Lifesize camera system. We call our unit the Icon system, and you'll see that on the slide that Randy's sharing. So it's comprised of three main parts. It's the camera, so the HD camera. You'll see that I can zoom in and out here. I can get a wide room view. I can we have different size cameras based on the size of the room. So I'm actually on that 450 system. It's great for smaller huddle rooms. But then we have our flagship system, the Icon 600, which is meant for your medium to large conference rooms. And then our Icon 800, which is the AV integrated room. It can support multiple cameras. And, if it's a room that's going to be larger than 30 by 30 feet, we might have some, extra microphones put into the room, and that's definitely something that Perfect VC specializes in. So we've been making our system since 2003 and have been a leader in the industry for a long time. And I think what really sets us apart in that cloudy cloud world is the fact that we also make our systems and have that connect to our cloud service to make things extremely simple and really easy. So that's a look at the hardware, and it's really simple. It's a system you would purchase, for each conference room that you need, and then you would just connect it to our cloud. And our cloud service provides all of those features, like group calling. So how we have, about 6 or 7 people on the call today, that's being, that's able to be done through our cloud service, and people are able to join through our software. So the software can run on all your devices. It's actually WebRTC, like Randy mentioned earlier, so it can run from, just a browser without any download. So if you're hosting a meeting, you're hosting an event like this, you can invite guests and people can join without even having a license, and have full video and audio. It works on smartphones and tablets, and it's going to give you that easy user interface that Randy showed earlier, where it has a directory that's going to be the exact same directory in the conference room. And we like to think of it as just one platform for, all of your users, whether they're, in an office that they work in every day, if they're traveling, or, if they're joining as a guest. So super simple, and, features that enhance meetings just beyond the live interaction is exactly what we're doing today with our streaming as well. And like Randy said, our streaming can go out to up to 10,000 people. So all hands meetings, trainings, webinars, you can set these up and you can have people watch it in real time and then archive them as well as a recording. And it's all captured in MP4 format. So just a really simple video conferencing solution, both in the conference room and for the cloud service. And, we're really excited to see products like Kaptivo and just enhancing the way that content can be shared in real, everyday meetings. You always want to see what that person's writing on the whiteboard in the, San Fran office, since I'm here in Austin. And it's just so much easier and great quality to do that when we mix these types of solutions. So, yeah, that is my spiel.
Emily, do you want me to navigate on the phone at all to show the directory, or do you think that's overkill at this point?
Yeah, real quick, why don't you do that? So
Okay.
Randy kind of has a little zoom in of our phone. So this is the Lifesize microphone. There's actually 4 omnidirectional mics in here, each with a 15-foot radius. So this is what's picking up our audio. It can also be a speaker, so you can hear the audio out of here or out of the TV or third-party, speakers. It's up to you. And then Randy, it's a little hard to see, I think, just because of the angle. Maybe there's a glare. If you tilt it up a little bit, that might help. But the
hand model there is actually Chris, so he's a little bit better at it than I am. There he goes. Yeah, there we go. So now it's focusing. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so we really want to make this as foolproof as possible. There's actually ways to schedule meetings through Outlook or Google Mail so that when your people walk into a conference room, it can pop up and say, the Lifesize, the Perfect BC webinar is beginning. Would you like to join live? And you can click yes, or you could click on a simple button like your directory and search for Randy and call Randy directly, or you could search for a meeting like the all hands meeting. So it's just a very intuitive user interface. We recently launched a completely customizable home screen. There's 8 quick buttons that can be speed dials to specific people, conference rooms, and you can
in that particular case, if Chris hits the add button or the meetings, he can see that directory. So there's one where then you go in and you can see the full connected directory of the organization. And presence information, I think, is one that people, I think, sometimes miss as a key component to a good integrated video conferencing solution, is like who is or isn't available, who is or isn't in a meeting. The thing that we think is pretty cool about this is these virtual meeting rooms will show participants. And this is the only platform to date that we support that does these ad hoc merging of rooms. And in most platforms, you have to hang up and everyone dial in there. And video conferencing is meet me here or meet me there. Call me or we all call a bridge. This is the only platform that allows people to auto-escalate into a bridge when they're already in a group. So Emily, Chris, and I are on a call. We see that we're late for the Kaptivo meeting, which is a virtual meeting room. One of us just dials in, and it auto-escalates all three of us into that virtual meeting room. It doesn't sound like a huge deal, but it kind of becomes one when those people that are already in a meeting don't want to have to hang up to dial back in. They just want to get business done. So one person, the moderator, usually dials in. Yep.
Agree. We always hear like the executive team doesn't want to think about where to invite someone to call them or how to call someone. They just want to go to the directory and find that person that they want to talk to. And that stands for anyone. But it's meant to be very easy. It's meant to not make people have to think about what room they're in or how to have someone call them, but just to be able to search and join and merge. So.
Right. All right, so we're in wrap-up mode, Chris, Emily, and ultimately on these quick recordings and webinars, we like to keep them under 45 minutes. We do stay after if someone was too shy to ask questions or was on the live feed and wanted to dial in. If you want to dial in, actually just call my desk at 516-282-2812, and I'll give you instructions on how to dial in. They were in the original invite, but that was so forever ago that you got that. You can certainly dial in. We'll stop recording in just a moment. The call to action here clearly is to take a demo. We can have you download the slide stack, so I'll take a look at that and I'll make sure I captured it. So as we've done the Kaptivo part of it, I can look at the participants. I'm going to go ahead and download a copy of that just in case you all wanted them. Had I terminated the meeting, or if Chris and Room had pressed the button, it would stop that. So I think, Chris, that's not a bad thing to demo. Go ahead and hit your blue button over there. You see our contact information on screen. Again, I now have the full progression of how this meeting went down, and I can download that full slide stack to me locally. My favorite, though, is the progression of thought over time. And don't show that again, not now. So as you're creating this dynamic content, why not get the progression of thought over time during these meetings in a way in which you haven't been able to before? So do a demo, ask for the slide stack. We'll send this to you as a follow-up to share the recording, tell your friends, and then Riddell is always looking to do demos, so give him a buzz. He'll roll with demo gear. Emily, I don't know if I've missed anything else. Angel, I know we left you in the background just in case we missed anything as far as key components of the business. If not, we'll stop recording and see if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, you've done a great job. Thank you very much on behalf of Kaptivo.
Yeah, and really nice to see you from the field, too. We were hoping you would be able to, I know you have a busy day, we're hoping that you were able to dial in to show the ease of joining and participating. So from a mobile device, at a hotel, we've had a participant from the manufacturer in a way that was painless for us and for her. So thank you, Lifesize, for making the technology work.
Absolutely.
Everyone, going once. Going twice. Alvy, I know you're the moderator on the recording, so we should go ahead and stop the live stream. We'll stay in for any questions. And again, thank you for your time.